This is Tosif here, starting a new live stream. Thank you for joining. I see a couple people are already here, and this is 9:15, approximately 9:15 p.m. So on Tuesday night. So thank you for joining. Please, as you're joining, write something in the chat window. And this is something that I always request. Write something in the chat window so I know who's here. You can give me a thumbs up. You can say hello. You can write your name. You can write the state, the city that you're from. Any questions, any comments, please write it in the chat window. It's good to be back. I have missed doing live stream. Yesterday I couldn't do it. And so it's good to be back. So, there are a couple things I want to discuss today. I'll start with New York. But before I get to that, please write something in the chat window. And as I'm sitting here doing the live stream, I am enjoying some green tea. I really love green tea. So I'm enjoying that. And, oh, I see more people have joined. Terry, my friend Terry is here. Terry from South Dakota. Princess Elder writes, hey, Connecticut here. Princess Elder, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. I hope things are going well in South Dakota. Terry, please, Terry, write something. How are things in South Dakota? And Princess Elder, same question for you. How are things in Connecticut? Hope everything's going well. Please chat with me in the chat window. So my friends, we're past the two-minute time mark, so I'm going to get started. But as always, I will pay attention to the chat window. So please keep writing, keep sending me messages, keep asking questions. Terry writes excellent. So that means excellent. Everything's excellent in South Dakota. Everything should be excellent in South Dakota. It's such an amazing state, Terry. Glad to hear. All right, my friends. Let me talk about New York, okay? I talk about New York a lot, right? You know why? I don't live in New York, but why do I talk about New York so much? Well, it's because there are things going on in New York that need to be discussed. There are lots and lots of problems in New York State, as well as New York City. Princess Elder writes, Connecticut is too close to New York, LOL. Well, Princess Elder, I hope that Connecticut doesn't have as many problems as New York. But one thing, Princess Elder, let me tell you, if Connecticut is not far from New York, right? I mean, we know the map of the US. So what may end up happening, and I'm afraid that this may happen in Wisconsin too, with this illegal immigration situation, when we have seen in the case of Denver, Colorado, that when Denver cannot handle the pressure because they just have no room for illegal immigrants and more immigrants keep pouring in, the city started giving government-funded bus passes to the illegal immigrants so that they can go and populate other communities. And so other communities are not happy about it. So in the northeast region of the country, in the East Coast, if New York keeps getting illegal immigrants and they can't handle it anymore, and then the illegal immigrants start going to other nearby states, in that case, Connecticut may have some issues to deal with. And I fear the same thing's going to happen in Wisconsin, as I've mentioned before on this channel. As Chicago can't handle the pressure, some of the migrants, I don't know how many, I'm not going to make any predictions, but I'm afraid that some migrants from Chicago may end up coming to Wisconsin. And in the case of Whitewater, we already see that happening. Whitewater is a city in southern Wisconsin that's dealing with an influx of illegal immigrants. Why? Because I'm sure there are illegal immigrants from New York, not New York, Illinois, who are making their way into Wisconsin. All right. So Let's see. JW writes, "Hi everyone. JW, glad to see that you're here." And Terry is writing because of Governor Noam. So Terry is writing that things are excellent in South Dakota because of Governor Kristi Noam. I agree with that, Terry. And Governor Noam is just a great governor. I have to take a sip of my lovely green tea in a disposable cup. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay. So Princess Elder is writing about Connecticut. So Princess Elder, I hope that things, that Connecticut doesn't face the same problems that New York is facing. But I'm afraid here in the Midwest, if Chicago keeps getting migrants and because they are a sanctuary city. Chicago is a sanctuary city. Illinois is a sanctuary state. In Wisconsin, let me tell you, we're not a sanctuary state. So we're not ready to deal with migrant influx, but we see migrants are coming in, as I mentioned, in places like Whitewater, Wisconsin. And so if the border remains open and more illegal immigrants pour into the country and more make their way to Illinois and particularly Chicago, and if they don't find the resources there, are they going to come to Wisconsin? I hope not. But I am afraid that's a real possibility. It may happen because, like I said before, I mean, millions of illegal immigrants are entering the U.S. and so they're not all going to go to New York and Illinois and California. They're probably going to spread all over the country, and that's the problem that we're dealing with here. So, my friends, let me get into the topic that I'm looking to discuss today. I said New York, but it's a particular issue that's going on in New York that I want to discuss. All right. I was surprised to hear that National Guard members, MTA police, and state police have all been deployed in the subway system in New York City. Hundreds of them. We're talking about hundreds. And this decision was made in order to combat crimes. Crimes are out of control in New York. And so National Guard members, MTA police, state police have been deployed. Now, I am surprised to see that Democrats, liberal politicians in New York, they suddenly seem to have a desire to combat crimes. I mean, Democrat policies usually lead to more crimes taking place in the community. We know that Democrats are soft on crime, and Democrat DAs, a lot of Democrat left-leaning district attorneys have a reputation for letting criminals, not go, easily, give them bail and let them go out easily. And that's been a problem because, the American people, in order to combat crimes, they want the enforcement of law. We need law and order. And also, part of that is we need district attorneys who are willing to prosecute criminals, But a lot of left-leaning DAs, they are really not very tough on criminals, and that's a problem. And now all of a sudden, it seems that the liberal politicians in New York, they seem to be wanting to combat crimes. All of a sudden, they are deploying National Guard and MTA police and state police in the subway system in New York City. I mean, what's going on? So, Governor Hochul of New York announced a plan which includes deploying 750 National Guard members, 250 New York State police officers, and MTA police officers. But this is in addition to the 1,000 New York PD police officers who were ordered into the subway system last month to check bags. And the question is, why all of a sudden so much of resources are being deployed in the subway system? I mean, what's going on? It's a natural question. What's happening in New York that requires so much of police presence? And we know that, as I mentioned, liberal politicians, they support defunding the police. They are reducing the resources that law enforcement officers have to combat crimes. And all of a sudden, in New York, the policymakers, the people in positions of power, the elected officials, they seem to be very excited, and they are deploying large numbers of law enforcement resources, police and National Guard members into the subway system, and bags are being checked. I mean, what's going on? That's the question. And so I have been saying for a while now that the crime situation in New York is bad. People don't feel safe in the city anymore. And the situation has gotten a lot worse since the illegal immigrants started arriving in New York City. Crimes after crimes, disturbances after disturbances in New York City. And so, I mean, just let's talk about some examples. There was shooting in Times Square. Criminals used mopeds to commit crimes in New York City. And as more and more illegal immigrants make their way into New York City, the problems are increasing in the city. The problems are increasing. And so people are afraid in New York. People are afraid of gang-related activities and crimes that are taking place. And you know what? People just want peace. That's all Americans are asking for. They want peace. They want safe communities. And they want to pursue prosperity. They want to pursue the American dream. And so we have economic uncertainty, and illegal immigration is destroying our country. Illegal immigration is making our country poor because tax dollars are being spent on the migrants. And so, people just want a peaceful community. But in New York, there's chaos, there's lawlessness, and New Yorkers are not happy. New Yorkers are not happy with the situation. And so, my friends, what do New Yorkers want? Just like all other Americans, they want to be able to go to work, come back safely, come back home safely, go out and have a good time with friends and family members. They just want a peaceful life. But because of the influx of illegal immigrants, there is no peace in the community anymore. Now, have you seen the images of National Guard troops and other law enforcement officers patrolling the subway system? Have you seen those images? Have you seen those video clips? If you have not, please look it up on the internet. Look at the images of National Guard troops, National Guard members, and law enforcement officers. They are busy patrolling the subway system. And so, I mean, it's pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing. Bags being checked. And finally, it seems, I mean, let me tell you, finally, it seems that the liberal politicians in New York, they are taking some steps that are sensible. But they should have taken sensible steps a long time ago. The liberal politicians in New York City and New York State, they should have said that, hey, the city of New York is not going to be a sanctuary city. We don't want illegal immigrants. We don't have the resources to take care of illegal immigrants. There are needs in the community. American citizens need help, and we're going to be taking care of the American citizens in need. That should have been the approach in New York City and in New York State a long time ago. But the elected officials in New York City, they continue to hold on to the sanctuary city designation, and that's why illegal immigrants still continue to pour in. And the border is open. It's still open, and people are pouring into the country every single day. So the crisis that the city of New York is facing now, this could have been avoided only if the city would have said, we don't want migrants. We don't have the resources to take care of them. But, now we see that New York, I mean, there's lawlessness, there's chaos in the city. It was such a great city once upon a time, but look at New York now. And the situation has gotten so out of control that now the same liberal politicians who supported defunding the police, now they are making the decision to have law enforcement officers and National Guard troops in the subway system. Now, I'm glad to see that Democrats are deploying law enforcement resources to combat crimes. This should have happened a long time ago. And do you know the latest data about illegal immigration? I was watching on Sunday. On Sunday, I was watching Fox News, and I think one of the reports I saw said that more than 9 million for sure, but I think it's more than 10 million now. More than 10 million illegal immigrants have entered the United States since Biden came to office. I mean, that's unbelievable. More than, I mean, more than 9 million or more than 10 million, whatever estimate you consider, that's a lot of people. And these are individuals. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they're from. We don't know their background. We don't know their criminal history, but these people are in the country, in the United States. And so that's why I keep saying, where's the peace and where's the peace in the community? There's lawlessness, there's chaos, there's uncertainty, and people are not happy. The Americans are not happy with what's going on. So my friends, let me also share with you. I gotta take a sip of my green tea. Okay, so according to a Fox poll, 57% of voters feel that they have less money in their pocket than they did a year ago. Okay, according to a Fox poll, 57% of voters feel that they have less money in their pocket than they did a year ago. That's a pretty depressing number. Pretty depressing, very depressing. So I see that LK is back. LK, welcome back. LK writes, great speech last week. It was powerful. Good on you for making your voice heard and being involved. Well, LK, thank you so much for your kind comment. I really appreciate it. And I'm guessing you're referring to the speech I delivered at the Grant County Republican Party Lincoln Day Luncheon. Thank you for watching that video. Well, it's a video on YouTube, but it really doesn't have the video. It has still images and then the audio of my speech. So thank you for listening to that. LK writes, have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much, LK. Appreciate you joining here. Have a wonderful night, LK. I'm going to keep continuing with the discussion as I was saying, and hopefully you can watch the replay. If you have to leave now, hopefully you can watch the rest of the live stream later on. Watch the replay. Thank you for joining, LK. So, as I was saying, 57% of voters, I mean, that's a huge number. According to a Fox poll, 57% of voters feel that they have less money in their pocket than they did a year ago. So people are worse off now, that they're feeling worse off. And that's not a good sign, especially going into an election season. It's not a good sign. It doesn't look for the incumbent president. Okay, it doesn't look good for the incumbent administration in power who are managing the economy. And so people are feeling that they are worse off. And inflation continues to hurt us all, my friends. Inflation continues to hurt us. And so, my friends, let me switch my focus and let's talk about the presidential election, okay? All right, I'm going to talk about the presidential election, and this is going to be very interesting. So if you have thoughts, please share with me in the chat window. Bill Maher, who is the host of Real Time. Who knows Bill Maher? A lot of people know Bill Maher. He's a very popular figure. Bill Maher, who's the host of Real Time, floated the idea of a Biden-Haley presidential ticket. Terry, I see you're here. You're writing comments in the chat window. You're going to love this discussion, Terry. Bill Maher floated the idea of a Joe Biden, Nikki Haley presidential ticket. Just when you thought that Nikki Haley suspended her presidential campaign, and just when you thought that you're probably not going to hear about Nikki Haley much, here comes Bill Maher, and he's floating the idea of a Joe Biden, Nikki Haley presidential ticket. It's pretty amazing. He suggested he floated the idea of replacing Kamala Harris and including Nikki Haley in the presidential ticket. I mean, that would technically mean a bipartisan presidential ticket because Joe Biden, the incumbent president, he's a Democrat, and Nikki Haley is a Republican. And so the question is, how likely is such a ticket? How likely is it that such a ticket may actually form? I mean, it seems that Bill Maher is just expressing what he feels would be a good presidential ticket, in his opinion, okay? But is it possible? Is it possible that Biden and Haley could actually be on the same ticket? Is it possible? That's the question. Now, my friends, let me tell you, in politics, anything is possible. Anything is possible in politics. I mean, just go back a few weeks. Who would have thought that Nikki Haley would continue running, and in spite of knowing that the polls are showing that she's going to lose her home state of South Carolina, in spite of knowing that, in spite of knowing that both the U.S. senators, Republican U.S. senators from South Carolina, endorsed Trump rather than Haley, and Trump is not a South Carolina resident, but Haley's a South Carolina resident. Haley ran for governor. Haley was the governor of South Carolina, and Haley was also the U.S. ambassador to the UN. South Carolina is Haley's home state. And Haley, in spite of knowing that both the U.S. senators from South Carolina endorsed Trump and that the poll numbers are showing that she's going to lose her home state, she still continued to run. She ran in the primary and she lost. I mean, who could have thought that that would actually happen? Some people thought that she's probably going to drop out, but she did not. And even after losing her home state, she continued running. And so anything is possible in politics. Anything is possible. And so the question is, the question is, will there be a Biden-Haley ticket? And so, is it possible? Now, if there is truly a Biden-Haley ticket, then the choice becomes difficult for Haley supporters. I mean, Haley supporters, they are Republicans, I'm assuming, because Haley is a Republican, because Haley ran for president as a Republican. So Haley supporters are Republicans. And so if there's really a Biden-Haley ticket, what would the Haley supporters do? Will they support a presidential ticket that includes Joe Biden and Nikki Haley? I mean, if Haley supporters are Republicans, then they can never support a presidential ticket with Joe Biden's name on the top. And so it would be politically devastating decision for Haley to be in the same presidential ticket with Joe Biden. And then also think about the Democrats. There are many Democrats who probably dream of becoming the president or vice president someday, right? I mean, look at the Democratic Party. You can come up with a list of names of people who likely dream of becoming the president or vice president someday. And there are probably many Democrats waiting in line to have a position of power. And so how would those Democrats who have political aspirations, who want to be president or vice president someday, how would those Democrats feel if Biden invited Haley to be in the presidential ticket with him instead of some other Democrat like Gavin Newsom? I mean, if Joe Biden really wants to have somebody else on the ticket with him instead of Kamala Harris, then there are other Democrats in line like Gavin Newsom. So is there any possibility that Biden may actually end up picking Nikki Haley? I mean, by the way, let me ask you, do you think Gavin Newsom would run for president in the future? I have a feeling he might, if you ask me to make a guess. The way he's trying to position himself by going to Florida and by having a televised debate against Ron DeSantis, it seems that Gavin Newsom is thinking about the future and that, he's kind of positioning himself to run for president in the future. But anyway, we can talk about that later. But going back to Nikki Haley, I think part of why Bill Maher talked about a Biden-Haley ticket is because Haley has not yet endorsed Trump. Okay? I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy, he dropped out and endorsed Trump. Tim Scott dropped out and endorsed Trump. Ron DeSantis dropped out and endorsed Trump. And Haley kept staying in the race. And then after Super Tuesday, she really had no choice. She had to drop out. AFP Action withdrew their financial support. She had major losses on Super Tuesday, and so she had to drop out, but she did not endorse Trump. And that's why I think that some people are thinking about some sort of a Democrat plus Republican unity ticket. Okay? Some kind of a unity ticket. Having a Democrat and a Republican on the same ticket. But honestly, if you ask me, if there's a Biden-Haley ticket, I don't see unity. I don't see the unity part in that ticket. I mean, I think such a presidential ticket would be pretty divisive. It would be particularly divisive for the Democrats. I mean, many Democrats will not be able to accept a Republican in the presidential ticket alongside Biden. The Democrat Party will be divided. There will be internal conflicts. Many will say that if Biden really wanted a running mate other than Kamala Harris, he could choose someone from within his party. Why would he choose Nikki Haley? So there would be a lot of people in the Democrat Party who are going to be really upset if Biden chooses Haley for vice president and if Haley says yes to that proposal to run. If Haley and Biden agree to run on the same ticket, as you know, Biden being the presidential candidate and Haley being the vice presidential candidate, that would actually be pretty devastating for the Democrats. And so, as I said, many Democrats will not be able to accept a Republican in the presidential ticket alongside Biden. And on the Republican side, honestly, I think Nikki Haley doesn't have much support anyway. But those Republicans who supported Nikki Haley for president, they are probably not going to be happy if she joins a ticket with Joe Biden. Okay? They will start to question if this happens, if Joe Biden and Nikki Haley, I mean, it's all a theory, okay? It's all just, you're just imagining that what if this happens, okay? There are no information out there that points towards, such a Biden-Haley ticket being a real consideration. But let's just imagine that, let me just see the chat window. Pamela Hernandez. Oh, Pamela Hernandez is writing, hello, sir, I'm watching from Kami, California. Well, Pamela, thank you for joining from California. As I keep saying, California is a beautiful state. It's sad to see that there are lots of far left individuals and socialist-minded people who are in positions of power in California. But I'm hoping that in the years to come, the people of California will vote for conservative candidates rather than liberals, and hopefully California will be in a much better direction in the future. I'm always trying to be optimist. So thank you for joining, Pamela. Princess Elder writes, I have to go. Have a great night. Sorry, I think I missed a few of the comments. That's because I'm so busy talking today. So if I've missed addressing any of your comments, I'm sorry. I'll get back to it soon, okay? And sometimes I read the comments. If I miss comments, I read those comments afterwards, when I watch the replay. So my friends, as I was saying, on the Republican side, Nikki Haley doesn't have much support, as we know from the primary results. But those Republicans, the small group of Republicans who supported Nikki Haley for president, they are not going to be happy if she joins on the same ticket with Joe Biden. They will start to question if Nikki Haley is truly a conservative if this happens. And then some of the Haley supporters will never support her again in the future if she decides to run again. And so once again, it's just something that Bill Maher floated. He floated this idea of, Biden and Haley being on the same ticket. There's no information that I'm aware of that would say that this is a real thing that is going to happen. So I just want to make that very clear. But we're just thinking, what if this happens? So it's entirely a what if scenario. Okay. Now, my friends, if going back to the same thing, if Biden and Haley join on the same ticket, a lot of Republicans who supported Haley, they may just abandon Haley forever and move towards Trump because they will view Trump as somebody who can be trusted, and he is somebody who can be trusted. I mean, that's who Trump is. He's a trustworthy individual. He makes promises and he works hard to deliver on those promises. Okay. I mean, people may agree with Trump or disagree with Trump, but one thing I think we all understand, and that is when Trump makes promises, he works hard to deliver on those promises. So, my friends, if Haley joins Biden for a unity ticket, then Haley will forever lose support from Republicans who voted for her in the GOP primary, and it's going to be a permanent loss for her. And joining Biden for a unity ticket would really destroy the relationship of trust, okay, that Nikki Haley has with the voters who support her. Republican voters will never be able to accept Nikki Haley or trust her again if this happens. So the question of Nikki Haley, I mean, that what if scenario, if Nikki Haley, as Bill Maher floated the idea, if Nikki Haley joins a presidential ticket with Joe Biden, it's going to be very devastating for her political future. And so, my friends, obviously, as I said again, this idea of a unity ticket, I am not aware of anything that Biden has said about it. I don't think Biden has said anything about it. I don't think Haley has said anything about it. I'm just talking about it simply because Bill Maher mentioned it, and I saw the news reports, and I thought that this might be an interesting topic to discuss. So, but then again, anything is possible in the world of politics nowadays. So, we just have to wait and see. Pamela Hernandez is writing, has Trump picked his VP? Pamela, based on the news reports, I am not aware of any name that has been confirmed. I haven't seen anything anywhere, any news that Trump has picked his VP. He mentioned, I think, sometime in the last couple of weeks, he mentioned a short list. He mentioned 6 names in the short list, individuals that he is considering for the VP position. Doesn't mean that it's going to be one of these 6 individuals, but he mentioned 6 names, and I think the 6 names are Ron DeSantis, Tim Scott, Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek Ramaswamy, Byron Donalds, and who else? Terry, who am I missing? Who am I missing, Terry? Am I missing anyone? I don't have my... so I mentioned Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, okay? Tulsi Gabbard, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds. Am I missing anyone? I may be missing a name. Anyway, Kristi Noem. How can I forget Kristi Noem? So Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott, Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard, and Byron Donalds. So these are the names that Trump mentioned as part of his short list. So it can be any one of these. Terry, I got the names. So I was thinking about the names, but I got the names, okay? The 6 names I was trying to remember. Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, Tulsi Gabbard, and Kristi Noem. Okay, these are the 6 names I think that Trump mentioned. But there can be other names outside this list. So it's a big question mark, Pamela. It's a big question mark who Trump is going to pick for VP. And so we just have to wait and see. And that's part of the excitement, the anticipation, all the questions, all the speculation, all the discussion, different people, different political pundits, different analysts, mentioning different names, so many questions about who is it going to be, different theories are out there. And a lot of people are talking about Ellie Stefanik. Some people are talking about Carrie Lake. Okay. And so, we just have to wait and see. And maybe the VP candidate will be someone whose name is not being mentioned at all. It is very, very possible. Doesn't mean that just because Trump is mentioning a short list, it's going to be one of these people. But you look at the short list, the 6 names that I mentioned, any one of those individuals would be great, I think. Would be great. And so, I think the main interesting thing on the Republican side is that we have so many great potential VP candidates. It's just hard to decide. I mean, think about all the names individually. And I think I did do a live stream. I went name by name by name. I discussed the 6 names, and I shared my views. I mean, Ron DeSantis, great governor. Vivek Ramaswamy, lots of energy. Tim Scott, he's just a great U.S. senator, very good, legislator. And Tulsi Gabbard, she walked away from the Democratic Party, and she's very popular among Republicans. Kristi Noem, she's just a superstar governor. And then Byron Donalds, I mean, he's a bold conservative. And then, did I miss anyone again? See, every time I start talking about the 6 names, I think that's it. Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott, Kristi Noem, Byron Donalds, Tulsi Gabbard. So, any one of these individuals would be great. So Pamela is asking, is JFK still running? As Terry writes, JFK, yes. So, not JFK, RFK. It's Pamela, I think you're referring to RFK, not JFK. You're referring to Robert F. Kennedy, right? Not John F. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy. You're referring to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So RFK Jr., he is running. He's running as an independent, okay? And so I previously have talked about RFK Jr. and his race. It's going to be very interesting because he comes from one of the most popular, well-known political families in America. He's got that Kennedy name. And so, the fact that he's running as an independent, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. No problem, don't worry about the mistake. So I just wanted to correct that. JFK, RFK Jr. And so it'll be interesting. And I think what I may do is talk about RFK Jr. perhaps tomorrow or at some point over the next couple days. I'm going to be talking about RFK Jr. hopefully and discussing his campaign, because I mean he's a prominent third-party candidate. Okay, has the important Kennedy name, and he's very well known, and so it'll be interesting to see what impact his campaign has on the presidential election. And so I will be not during this live stream, but I'm going to be talking about RFK Jr. Sometime in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that. And so at this point, I don't have much to add. I would recommend that you please, if you have not done so already, please check out the speech that I uploaded, which LK was referring to. I spoke at Grant County Republican Party's Lincoln Day Luncheon, and Grant County is one of the 72 counties in Wisconsin, and Grant County is the southwesternmost county in Wisconsin. In the Grant County is in Wisconsin, but it's in the tri-state area where Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa kind of merge. And so I attended. I was a guest speaker at the Lincoln Day Lunch at Grant County, organized by Grant County Republican Party. And so I spoke for about 17 minutes or so. So if you have not heard the speech yet, please go check out that video, that speech I uploaded on my YouTube channel. I don't have the video version of the speech, so I have still images, and you can see different still images from the event, and you can hear my speech. So it's in the form of a video, but it's actually not a video. You can't see movement. You can just see, it's like a collage of still images, and then you can see, you can hear my speech. Laura Floyd is here giving me the thumbs up. Laura, thank you for joining. I'm about to actually end this live stream. I have something I need to do at 10 p.m. I have still a lot of writing and other things left that I have to work on. And so I'm going to end this live stream here because I have to do something else within a few minutes. And it's almost 10 p.m. Central Time, so here in Wisconsin. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. Terry, my friend, thank you for joining. Princess Elder, thank you for joining. JW, thank you so very much for joining. And LK joined. Thank you for that. And then Pamela Hernandez joined. I appreciate you being here, Pamela. Thank you for watching my videos. And Laura Floyd, Laura, always good to see you. Thank you so much. Sorry, I wish I could hang out for a few more minutes. I do have a lot to discuss, and so I'll be discussing more hopefully tomorrow. But today, oh, Susan Ebb just came. Susan, thank you for joining. I'm actually about to end this live stream, but hopefully you can watch the replay. I just have something I need to do, do some writing projects that I'm working on. So I'll end this live stream. But thank you all for joining. And I have a lot more to discuss. Hopefully I'll be doing it tomorrow. And also stay tuned for my podcast episode. So thank you once again, everyone. Thank you so very much. And I will be back again with more videos, more live stream. So stay connected with me. Thank you so very much. And have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.